What is a geriatric licensed clinical social worker and when to use one? Today we have a very special guest, and Sarah, can you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Sarah Hiller-Burson. I'm a licensed clinical social worker who only works in the geriatric field with older adults. So a geriatric licensed clinical social worker works primarily with older adults, and we focus on the psychological impact of issues related to getting older. An individual or family would come to me and tell me that they have someone that needs some help because they're having trouble coping with loss, decline, change in situation, life transition, or like caregiver stress, corona isolation, and they're depressed and anxious. I would provide both practical solutions, and I'd also provide psychological interventions, and that would be my primary focus, to be sitting with them in a psychotherapy setting, and to help them really feel better about the situation, to give them tools they need, interventions they need to help them cope with what's going on. And licensed clinical social worker works in institutions, non-for-profits, or for the government. And they also work in private practice like myself.
Great.
I used to work in nursing homes and assisted livings. And because of Corona, I wasn't able to work in nursing homes or assisted livings as a psychotherapist. And I decided to open up a private practice called Center for Purposeful Aging. And we offer individual psychotherapy, group psychotherapy, and interactive lectures. And we accept Medicare and secondary insurance.
Yeah, thank you so much for explaining everything. Let me ask, prior to specializing in the geriatric community, the older crowd, were you more of a general social worker licensed? And if you could explain that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I worked for several years, more than several years, for 5 to 7 years, both in the hospitals. I worked in Columbia Presbyterian, Mount Sinai Hospital, and Lenox Hill, all in Manhattan, as a social worker. And I loved what I did. And I also worked in the community too as a social worker. And I just love working with older adults. I find them interesting to work with. I appreciate their wisdom, and I like helping out.
So pretty soon in your career, you focus more on the elderly crowd.
Yes. So
Okay.
I think I started off when I got when I was in social work school, when I was getting my master's in social work.
Wow.
When they were initially interviewing me just to get an idea of what kind of social worker I wanted to be, I already knew that I wanted to work with the older population.
Sarah, thank you so much for coming and sharing everything. Thank you for watching. If this was helpful, please press subscribe so that you could see future videos.